Hey everybody, Richard here with CRG Games, and I have finished the first draft of Jolene the Plunder Queen, and it's awesome. Now my buddy asked me what the power level was. I had guessed it was probably pre-con level plus, and that seems to be about right. It was pretty good. I didn't win any of the 3 games I played, but I learned what I needed to do to make it a little bit better. So, what Jolene does is whenever a player attacks one or more of your opponents, that attacking player creates a treasure token. So it does help your opponents. If you would create one or more treasure tokens, instead create one of those tokens plus an additional treasure token. So it helps you more. And you can sacrifice 5 treasures to put 5 1/1 counters on Jolene. And that is important because she is a big punchy commander. So I'm going to start off with instance. So we've got Lightning Axe here. This is for removal. Life's Legacy is for card draw. And during those first 3 games, I did not have enough card draw. The deck stagnated. I got to a point where my board would get wiped or something, and I would have no way to refill it. So I added some card draw stuff that will help that. Life's Legacy is one of them. You can also do Momentous Fall. Faithless Looting, this is for card draw. Salvage will help you get a card back from your graveyard. That is from Portal. We've got Seed Time. This is interesting because this card didn't used to be expensive, and now it's like $16 or $17. I remember when I first saw this, I bought a couple of them a while back for real cheap. I read this thing and I was like, this is busted. You should not be able to take an extra turn for 2 mana. But you can. You absolutely can. Ancient Grudge for destroying artifacts. Unexpected Windfall. This is for creating treasure tokens. Overrun. Because Jolene doesn't inherently have trample, Overrun helps to provide her with trample and gives her +3/+3. Plus your other creatures. Snakeskin Veil will help to prevent Jolene being removed or anything else. Decimate. This is just a hate card. I love it, though, because it does a massive amount of damage in the form of removal. And if you just use it all on one player, man, it can set them back, the entire rest of the game. Red Sun Zenith. This is an outlet for excess mana to deal damage. And Vandal Blast. If your opponents are getting too many treasure tokens, you know what to do. You destroy them. For creatures, we've got Marching Duodrone. This is a token generator, a treasure token generator. Inferno the Star Mounts. This is an outlet for excess mana. If you build up a bunch, you can use it to deal 20 damage to any target. Zorn. So this, if you would create a treasure token, instead you create those tokens plus an additional, and that's including the additional you get from Jolene. So you start to ramp up really hard with treasure tokens. Patron of the Arts, treasure tokens. Grinning Ignis. Because I have Altar of the Brood in this deck, you can use Grinning Ignis to keep playing it, bouncing it to your hand, playing it, bouncing it to your hand with all that excess mana you're going to have, and you can mill out opponents very quickly. Finehorn Elves, this is for ramp. Old Gnawbone. This just gets nuts. I don't think I need to explain why this is good in this deck. Rex Sage for removing artifacts and enchantments that may be hurting you. Elvish Visionary for card draw. Genesis, this allows you to bring things back if it's in your graveyard. Jaheira, I'll probably take this card out. I needed some fill, but it allows you to get mana out of your tokens without having to sacrifice them. So that's kind of important. Fierce Empath for searching things out. Circle of Dream Druids produces a lot of mana. Vault Robber, treasure token creator. And Goblin Anarchomancer will just help lower the cost of things you want to cast. Apex Devastator, this is just a big stompy, and it's got a really fun ability, the 4 Cascades. This will help you get through your deck a little bit if you've got extra mana, but you don't have any draw. And Academy Manufacturer gets absolutely nuts with this. Impulsive Pilferer, this is another token generator. Arcbound Ravager, so this is a very important part of this deck. Once you start getting tons and tons of artifact tokens, you can start sacking them to Arcbound Ravager and making it really big. You can also do that with Atog. Sacking an artifact gives it +2/+2 until end of turn. But Arcbound Ravager gets +1/+1 counters. So they're both good in their own way. If you don't have one, the other will do. Rurik Tar, I like this guy because of his ability. So you just got to be careful that you're not whacking yourself. But he'll do a lot of damage if he gets to stay out. Taunting Kobold. This is a great card. For a 0/1 with haste, all you have to do is attack. It doesn't have to do any combat damage, but then you get to goad a target creature an opponent controls. Delina, so she is for creating copies of creatures. I didn't get to play with this card yet, so I don't know exactly how it's going to do in this deck. So we're going to leave it in there for now. Stonequell Serpent allows you to get rid of extra mana by, making a creature really big itself. Birds of Paradise. As for ramp, probably don't actually need that. Hoarding Ogre, this creates a lot of tokens. Goro, so this is what I use it for is, of course, the first ability, the creatures you control gain haste until on a turn, but also an excess mana outlet when you can create 5/5 red dragons. Very helpful. Goldspan Dragon, this is also very helpful because you get additional mana from each of your tokens. And Vizier of the Menagerie, if you don't have a lot of card draw, if you've got this out, you get to look at the top card of your library, and if it's a creature, you can then play that off the top of your library. So it's still pretty darn helpful. And then Crystalline Giant, this was a filler card just because I needed a creature, and it has a neat ability. The problem is you don't get to choose what counter you want because you have to do it at random. So it's kind of annoying to play this card, but it's not that bad. Tawashi Song Shaper, when you've got all those tokens entering, gets +1/+0 till on a turn, so it can get really big pretty quick. Enchantments, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. So this is a great card, and it creates that 2/2 red Goblin Shaman, which I've got that token here. If you've got any of these are $7 to $10 a pop, so you might want to pull them out. But yeah. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, great card. Miri's Guile, I love this. It's kind of like Sensei's Divining Top, except you don't get to draw the cards, but it's only one, and you can play that on turn one. So this really is a super helpful card. I'm a big fan. Shining Impetus allows you to goad creatures and create treasure tokens. Price of Glory, this discourages people from playing things on your turn. It's kind of a harsh tax. They have to destroy that land if they tap it. So, I mean, it happens for you too. So, but in this situation, in green-red, there's not a ton of instances in where you're going to be needing to do that. And even if you did, you don't have to do lands because you've got treasure tokens. So it doesn't say anything about that. Price of Glory, cool card. Descent into Avernus, this speeds the game up. I think this card is underrated. It's super cheap. Everybody loved this card. Yes, it hurt everybody, but we were kind of all happy that it was on the battlefield, and everybody said, when we were done, like, the first thing that everybody said is they're putting Descent of Avernus into their deck. Sometimes Commander games can freaking drag on for literally hours. Descent into Avernus, make sure that doesn't happen. Sneak Attack, for getting things out quickly, and getting those attack triggers, which are helpful. Invigorating Hot Springs, so this allows you to create modified creatures by putting 1/1 counters on them, and modified creatures get haste. Sticky Fingers, this card for 1 mana is, this should cost more than 1, but it doesn't. Gives a creature menace. If you don't have Trample on Jolene, giving her menace is also really good. And when she deals combat damage, you create a treasure token. But she's already going to create a treasure token, so you're going to get tons of treasure tokens. And then if you really need, you can get a stimulus package, sack a bunch of treasure tokens, and create 1/1s. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And then one of my favorite cards that's kind of just like a troll card, Custody Battle. Yeah. So if you play Custody Battle on something, It basically just gets passed around the table until someone sacks a land. We call that paying child support. I can't imagine this card will ever be reprinted for good reason. I freaking love this card, though. Artifacts. Bootlegger's Stash. Very important for creating lots of tokens. Mind's Eye is very important for card draw. I added this in after the fact, so I have not gotten to play with it yet, but this will help with card draw. Alter the Brood. This absolutely wrecks the opponents. When you're creating, tons and tons of tokens, yeah, Alter the Brood does absolute work. It's a unit. Really, I should put Masterwork of Ingenuity in here and make 2 of them. That would suck for everybody else. Lightning Greaves, excellent. Lotus Petal, this is for early game ramp. I've got Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, and Jeweled Lotus. This deck does have the ability easily to play Jolene on turn 1. Lotus Petal, Akroma's Memorial. Again, because Jolene does not inherently have any abilities like, flying or flash or anything like that, Akroma's Memorial takes care of that, and it applies to all your creatures. Mage Slayer. If you don't have any of that other stuff out, Mage Slayer is actually a really good card to have, because when this is on Jolene and you sack your tokens to make her really big, that damage, you need to do it beforehand, but when she attacks, that damage will be done to the defending player. And it gets around it because even if she's blocked, they still take the damage. I love that card. Well of Knowledge. This is for card draw. Not just for you, it works for everybody else. So this, in conjunction with Ascent into Avernus, is going to help speed the game up. But it should also help you win faster, even though other people are drawing cards too. This is not a CEDH deck. It's just got a lot of kind of neat things in it that happen to work together. Domri, Anarch of Bolas. There's not a ton of things that I'm aware of that allow you to cast spells and not have to worry about them being countered, but Domri does allow you to do that, and it creates an additional mana. And its second ability allows you to kill things by having your creatures fight their creatures. And then lastly, here for regular cards, we've got Meteor Crater. This is just a land that allows you to tap for whatever color you need. Racer's Ring. This is card draw in a pinch. Crag Crown, early game. You probably don't need that kind of stuff in here, to be honest, because it's only 2 colors. Detection Tower helps if you've got people that are playing things with hexproof. You can get rid of that. Ancient Tomb from the Vault Realms is where this is from. Spire Garden, this is Battle Bond. Reliquary Tower, very helpful. Nykthos, Shrine of the Nyx. Your devotion in this deck it gets really high. So Nykthos allows you to produce a lot of mana. Copper Lion Gorge, additional mana of red or green. Glimmer Void. There's really no instances in which you're not going to have a bunch of artifacts, so this is an auto-occlude, I think. Stomping Ground, Shockland, and Gemstone Cavern. So I actually did get to use this in the first game. I got to play with that out on the field, and I've never actually used this card before because it's been in a binder forever. And now I see why it's expensive, because it was pretty neat. So then we've got, these are all the basic lands, but they're kind of neat. So I got, Lorwyn here, it's a foil. SNC, this is M21 Showcase. Magic Fest 2020. The Tree of Tales and Great Furnace, these are artifact basics. So those will also kind of work to have like your Glimmer Void produce a mana of any color. This is, was it Unstable? Yeah, big old mountain. This is a Onslaught foil. And we've got 7th edition, so I didn't realize it, but this is like $20-something. It's LP though, so it's not, it's not like super minty or anything, but it's like $20. I was surprised by that. There's another Onslaught Mountain. This kind of reminds me of, I think it's out in New Mexico. There's hillsides where Native Americans had, kind of carved out their homes and stuff into the mountains. I think that's in New Mexico. I could be wrong. If you know where it's at, go ahead and post it in the comments. Great bit of American history there, though. What else we got here? Some regular old basics. I kind of threw this together today, so this is the first time getting to play it. Actually earlier. This is an invasion. Yeah, invasion forest, champions of Kamigawa, and regular old forest there. So this is the first draft. I'm going to be making additional changes to Jolene. I thought about making it Voltron, which is having a bunch of, you know, equipments and stuff to put on her, but that's more of a white deck. And I don't have really good ways to search out artifacts. So until now, until then, Jolene is going to stay kind of how it is. And we're going to swap out, you know, a couple things here and there and see how it works. But yeah, Jolene, she's a powerhouse. I did not expect it to do as well as it did. And again, not CEDH. If you are going to a table where people have turn 2 decks and stuff, you're going to get clobbered. So it's not worth it. But this is a fun deck to play with your friends, to play with a, you know, a casual play group. It is stronger. It did end up being stronger than Precons, but it is not, you know, like a turn 2 a win deck. I'm sure it could be made into one, but I don't know exactly what those cards would be. So, hope you guys enjoyed. I will have the deck list in the comments so you can build this yourself or make changes to it. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll have probably... I might be building another deck. I'm not sure. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. But I've got some other decks I've been wanting to build for a long time. I'll probably get those here soon as well. So until then, I will catch you guys later.